Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Chad.
This week, we're covering 2025's Voices Carry.
You know that this is just a temporary arrangement.
It's been a hard transition for me up here.
To new beginnings?
I haven't seen you in about 25 years.
Jesus.
Never seen you before. Jack. Henry.
Aren't you the spitting image of your mother?
Sam, are you out there?
Jesus Christ, Jack.
Sam!
Do you like it here?
What's not to like?
Not to be confused with the Till Tuesday song, Voices Carry. Now, when you told me that we got a screener for this movie, I thought, well, what is there to watch? I already know what this is about. This is about a woman being abused.
Yeah, that video from the Till Tuesday, man, that really sticks in your head. Well, the thing it sticks to me is where he's at the beginning. He's like, "I'm so happy for you." And he's just being such a dick to her at the beginning of the video. Yeah, that was like, oh, no, I don't want to hear this. Just turn this off. Yeah, it's amazing. And also, I'm pretty sure it's in the film Final Girls. I feel like that's Betty Davis' eyes. But yeah. There's this isn't a horror film, and I think about it a lot. But here we are with this film that we have reviewed. Written and directed by two women. This actually is out now. Yeah, it premiered Saturday the 14th? Oh no, not the 14th. It can't be Saturday the 14th because we didn't have a Saturday the 15th. Sorry. Yeah, we didn't have a Saturday the. It was Saturday 14th. The 15th. Jamie Lee Curtis's birthday at Cinequest. Jamie Lee Curtis's birthday. Yeah. For anyone that gets that. Yeah, it premiered at Cinequest this last Saturday. It was written and directed by Abby Brenker and Ellyn Vander Wyden. This seems to be the first feature for both of them. Yeah, feature for both of them. They both have worked on a lot of shorts and different movies before, but this is their first feature. And it stars Gia. I'm not sure how to get your name, sorry. My phone's all over the place today. Gia Crovatin stars in it, along with Jeremy Holm. And those are the two main people in the movie, really. There's other people that are incidental that come in and out. Her husband in the movie, I kind of just went like, man, he's there. It's not that he does a bad job acting in it, but he's not one of the main characters, really. The movie more focuses on the Sam character and the neighbor, Henry. Yeah. It does him. He's kind of the absent husband for most of the movie. He's off working and he's doing other things and, kind of ignoring what's going on. Yeah, his name is Jeff Ayers, plays the husband, Jack. I did not know they were married. I don't know how I missed that in the plot. I don't know if they were married or just living together, but they're a couple anyhow. Whether they're married or just living together, they're a couple. And she's had an issue with she owned a restaurant that went under, and she needs to get away and figure out what she's going to do next. So they go out to her old cabin on the lake, red flag, that's been in her family for generations, to figure out what's going to go on, rest. The husband works from home, so he can work from anywhere, and she's just going to, chill out and figure out what she's going to do. And one of the first things that happens is the next door neighbor comes over, and he's immediately creepy. Like, he's kind of weird. He's like, oh, yeah, we were friends when we were 9. do you still like me? What happened when we were 9? Why did you stop talking? You know, it's one of those like very awkward socially kind of things where you're like, oh, sure, come over for dinner sometime. You're thinking, no, don't do that. Don't invite this guy for dinner. But he actually turns out to be okay. He's a little socially awkward, but he's okay.
I'm gonna be honest. Jeremy is the actor's name. He is the best part of the film.
Yeah.
For me, he was the best part of the film. He is hilarious, and there's just something, he carried himself well.
I get it. Yeah, it kind of throws the trope on the around a little bit of the. You start off thinking he's going to be the creepy neighbor that's going to be involved in something weird that's going on around here, but he's not. He's just a normal guy who happens to be selling weed out of his house to people. That's how he makes his money.
Now, the cinematography, the look of the film, it's one of those where the environment actually does all the 80% of the work of the film.
Yeah, it's one of those areas where like everything around this lake and the house is so beautiful that to make it look bad, you would have to go out of your way. Because this is one of those places where you can just set a camera up and start filming and it looks amazing in the background. Like everything just looks great. The lake is beautiful, I mean, I'm sure there's a little more to it than that, but it's hard to go wrong when you have a perfect backdrop,
Correct. I feel like when you're that lucky to have that for a first film,
yeah,
you're
not having to try to light a dark farmhouse in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. Yeah. It goes so well with what happens in the film. It's a ghost story to some degree, and the look of it, just matches perfectly.
Everything's very calm, very serene, but then things can be going on that you don't know about under the surface. It's kind of the theme of it.
It's like foggy, just really, just has that like misty look, misty.
And of course, it doesn't take long after they move into this place before. And here's another red flag. Anytime you're in a house, a garage, or anything, and a book just throws itself off the shelf and lands on the floor in front of you, don't pick that thing up and start reading from it.
Right off the bat, we knew that this was, an indie film.
And it was a ghost story.
And if I had no information, I just happened to just stumble upon this, when it gets to TV in 3 months. Or next week. Who knows? It's so crazy how fast, things stream nowadays.
Yeah, some things just start off simultaneously. They're in the theater and in streaming,
Yeah. I would definitely know, oh, this is an indie film. This is someone's film,
This is their first movie that they're doing.
It definitely has that feel. I don't know what it is exactly. I don't know if it's because I've seen so many films. I don't know if it's because you can tell, would someone else be able to tell? I think a lot of it for me, besides the look, is the pacing.
Yeah.
This movie felt like I was being haunted, for 1,000 years. I felt like I was never going to leave. But then at the other side of it, which, can be seen to be a negative thing, if you don't want to be living in a world for 1,000 years. On the other side of that, my thought process is, well, did they capture the feeling of the haunt? You're never getting out of it. You're in this, woman's head, and she's going through so many emotions, depression. The reason why her mom had passed away, which she killed herself specifically.
Yeah.
And that was the mom's house. It's a generational house that had been in her family for 100 years. So there was a lot of history with that. And she's now visiting this place. She's lost her job. So there was a lot of internal stuff that, mental stuff that she is going through. And maybe that is, I don't want to say an excuse, but maybe that's one of the reasons why I felt like it was never going to end, because that's what it probably felt for her. She was stuck in that spiral.
It's very slow paced. It's very quiet. It's not one of the movies where there's a lot of jump scares coming out at you all the time. It's not one where you see ghosts every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's not one where things are constantly rattling and falling off the shelves or doing that. It's not one of those ghost stories where the ghosts are making themselves known to everyone and things are happening. There's whispering around the lake. There's things that she's hearing, and she's starting to do some background investigations into the house and that kind of thing, and starting to find out creepy things about her family in the past. And it's kind of like when everybody was going through lockdown and you were trapped at home and you were bored and you didn't have a lot to do.
Yeah.
So you started looking into things and doing things that you didn't do before. There were a lot of people that got real into genealogical research because all the libraries opened up their files and you could go through all this stuff. People that were trapped at home suddenly had an interest in that, you know. Same kind of thing. She starts looking through this book, starts to get a little interested, starts digging deeper, and the further she digs, the more that she finds out things about her family. Maybe she didn't want to know.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say, we called it what was going on, at a certain point, but this is, I was like, then this is what's gonna happen, you know, because they just set everything up, to where it's okay, this is just based on what what
you're seeing and what you've seen in past films.
Exactly.
You know where this is going.
This also reminded me, in a I don't want to say weird way, but of What Lies Beneath, and I think it's because it's Ghost, and then there's a misty look to that movie too, right? And
the
then
fog on the lake and everything.
Exactly, and then water.
Yeah.
Which, usually when it rains in a film, that's okay, something is transforming, something's changing, that kind of thing. The cleansing, yeah. So there was so much water. I just wish it was a little faster.
Yeah, and it was fairly, like I said, the people do good. The acting is fine. The cinematography's fine. It's just, they don't have a lot to work with because there's not that much to the story. If this had been a little shorter, it had been an episode of a Twilight Zone or a Tales from the Crypt. Not necessarily Tales, more like Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah.
Because Tales from the Dark Side was one of those ones where they would tell a pretty creepy story in 20, 30 minutes. If this had been a little bit longer version of that, it would have worked a little better. It definitely felt like they padded out a lot of stuff in here just to make it into a full-length feature. And it's not that it's the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's just fairly predictable, You know where it's going right away. And if it had subverted that, what's that one, After Midnight, that we watched, where it was the same kind of thing. It was very slow. It was about a lot of relationship drama. And then in the last 10 minutes of that movie, the monster just busts through the fucking door and attacks him, and they end up in a knife fight in the kitchen. And you're like, okay, this is what I was waiting for. Yeah. This is okay. This paid off. When
you look at the fucking creature thing, you're like, what? And it looks amazing.
Yeah.
That is what I remember about that film. How amazing that thing looked. And I was fucking dumbfounded. I was just like, what is this?
There's other non-horror movies that do this too. I felt the same way about Clint Eastwood's The Unforgiven. You waited an hour and 30 minutes for that scene where Clint Eastwood walks into the bar with a shotgun in one hand and a pistol in the other and is like, I'm here to kill everybody. You're like, yes, this is what I've been waiting on. I've been waiting for him to cut loose and murder everybody through the whole movie. And he's been so restrained and quiet that by the time it gets to it, you're just like, yes, this is going to be amazing.
Now, I know maybe this was not what these filmmakers had in mind. Maybe they just really wanted to do a drama, but put
a little supernatural element into it.
Exactly, right? Which is fine. But yeah, maybe that's not the direction, because it feels more drama-esque than horror.
Yeah.
You know, and this is I'm thinking about this, and as I'm thinking about it, I am thinking to myself, what you're about to say is gonna sound so fucking ridiculous. But then again, we have a world where Malignant exists, right? Like, that fucking world, I mean, that's just nuts, right? Or the worst movie ever, Blood Rain. Like, these are movies that exist, and mind you, I'm taking Malignant to, like, the part, like, where it's just, like, mind-blowing, like, fucking ridiculous, but amazing. We're fans. Not fans of Blood Rain. Maybe Mom Ghost, okay, who's protecting her daughter from the curse that is put upon this family. Spoiler alert, there's a curse on the family.
There's always a curse on the family.
There is always a curse on the family. Maybe Mom Ghost fights Ancestral Ghost in a fight-off. I don't know. I would have liked to have seen that. I mean, I know that sounds corny as fuck. And if you're trying to,
Ghost Fight 2025.
Exactly. Actually, we're going to make that movie. That's going to be our next film, guys.
Ghost Fight.
Ghost Fight. Anyways. So, something along those lines. Something to create some kind of... Now, obviously, if your movie is... If, in your frame of mind, your movie's more like, I want to discuss or, have a thing about depression, then obviously that's not going to be the route you're going to take, which obviously that's not the road that they took. So it's probably more like they wanted to do more of a psychological horror, or mental health horror, because I think psychological horror, I think of like, Silence of the Lambs or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I wish maybe there was more. I need more ghost in a ghost movie. Like, I know that costs money, but we got the voices. The voices were carrying. Oh, and then of course we have to I don't want to say have the name of the film in the film, but when they're on the lake and she's, it's the classic horror movie thing, like, did you hear that? Or did you see that? And the other character is like, no, or yes. This is like, oh, when you talk across the lake, the other people on the other side could fucking hear, like, the fucking echoes of it. Like, the whole lake echoes, and then they went into, like, a whole...
Think about that. So maybe you're not hearing ghosts, maybe you're just hearing people on the other side.
I want a burger.
Start hearing that. I think my favorite one of those where it kind of subverts the whole thing is in the original Ghostbusters, where they're in the basement, and he goes, listen, do you smell that? It's like, wait, what? That always got me. It confused me when I saw it the first time. I was like, wait, what? Okay. So this one, like I said, it's not a bad thing necessarily. It's just kind of predictable. I'm going to say it's a 2-knifer.
I'm going to give it 1 knife.
Wow.
I actually want to give it half a knife, but we can't do half a knife. So I'm going to give it 1 knife.
Okay.
This is, I apologize, okay? I apologize. Great effort. Fantastic. Like, kudos. I'm not trying to knock ladies down. Like, however, the name of the podcast, though, is Jump Scare the Horror Podcast. So I can't give anything above a 1 because I didn't get a jump scare and there was no horror in this film. That's where my rating lies. Okay? Now, if this was like Lifetime podcast or like Dramatic Woman Film podcast, then they would be at least a 2-knife. Oh, I'm sorry. We're not going to do knives in those podcasts. Cupcakes or, whatever. Something fun. Smiley faces. That'd be a different story. But that's where I rest my case.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. This film will update when we get, when there's streaming service.
Yeah, we'll update when it's going to be coming out. Right now, like I said, it premiered at Cinequest last weekend, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Thank you so much. Stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.